Hey everyone, welcome to the Dynamics 365 Practice Show. We're always open to new ideas and opinions and welcome any feedback on our show. And often we get people suggesting ideas and topics. Well, today I'm speaking with Marc Wolenik from Cowrie Solutions about starting a practice, a Dynamics practice in 2019. So I hope you enjoy the insights that he has in launching this year. I've talked about it a few times about MapTasker, a company I'm working with out of Western Australia, even though I'm based in the UK, just doing some consulting with them, and the opportunity that exists around geospatial data and its relationship to the data sets you already have, and the opportunity to unlock various artificial intelligence scenarios. If you find that you're working with customers or you are a customer that has a large amount of sales reps, or if you have a big field engineer type team, like people out in the field, you may find it's well worth checking out what MapTasker are doing in this space. Because in what I've seen so far, many companies across the globe are looking at what they're doing and adopting their technology. Their mobile app is out in the App Store now. You should take a look. It's one of the best mobile apps I have seen in this space. Absolute work of art, very functional, and I highly recommend you check that out. Now, let's get on with the show. Full show notes, of course, will be found at nz365guy.com/101. Hey Marc, welcome to the Dynamics 365 show.
Hey, thanks Mark.
Listen, good to have you on here. You've been around the market a very long time, much longer than me. So why don't you tell us a bit about your background and your journey across the Dynamics ecosystem over the years?
Yeah, I've been in the space for a while. I don't know if I've been in it longer than you, but certainly for a couple of decades. I got involved in Dynamics CRM very early on when it was kind of a product right around 3.0. Coming out of 1.2, and decided that it had real potential. At the time, it had very limited market traction, but it was something that I could see that Microsoft was going to put some investment behind, and decided to commit to what I was doing to the product. So at the time, Microsoft had a different kind of release cadence when it came to software. And that cadence was typically around an 18-month release cycle. And what they did is they took their software, released it out to their beta testers and their closed community, allowed us to play with it, build apps on it. And I took the opportunity to write my first book on it. So I figured that I needed to learn the software. I wanted to train on the software and teach the software. And so I took the 18-month closed window opportunity and I wrote my first book, which was Dynamics CRM 4.0 Unleashed. That's how I got involved with it, and one thing led to another. It became a core focus and a core offering of what I was doing, and I built a company around it, had an exit around it, and been involved in the space in one capacity or another since then.
Okay, so you're the author of the entire Unleashed series, is that right? Around Dynamics.
Yeah, the entire Unleashed series on Dynamics CRM to date. The Unleashed series obviously is about the 600 different authors on different subjects, but the CRM series is me for sure.
Okay, so tell me, what are the titles and what years did they come out?
Well, the titles are Dynamics CRM 4.0 Unleashed. I did Integration Unleashed. I did a total of 5 books. So
wow,
I'd have to go back and pull them all up, but I haven't done one in about 5 years. Microsoft went through a big change with the new Dynamics 365 suite and continues to change and evolve. And that's one of the exciting things. That's the reason I'm jumping back into the fray.
Wow. Okay. So just I'm quite interested in your book journey just there for a moment. So 5 books is a massive undertaking. Was it worth it in hindsight? And what are your thoughts on authoring books? Would you do it again if you're starting fresh today?
Wow. Starting fresh today, it's a quick start into credibility, into, getting your name out there. Today, it's a much more challenging venture. And I would say that, the product is just part of it. But the other part of it is books as a medium are challenging. And so, you go to the conferences and sure, people buy books, but, the preferred medium is what we're doing, podcasts, or it's online, or, it's different ways of consuming information. And so I've, toyed with books, moving forward, and I've had my publisher come back and say, hey, we'd like you to do this and that. And it's really hard to keep current. And so the idea of sitting down and say, look, I want to write another 1,200-page book on Business Central or on, CRM or any of these topics, By the time I start the book and by the time I finish the book, the product has been updated 3 times. And so, how do you stay ahead of that? Well, publishing has evolved too, and they have these online releases and you can stay current. But what I found when I was going through these conversation tracks with the publisher was I entered into an iterative writing cycle that became a nonstop book. And
it never ends.
It never ends. And I said, you know what? I'd like to do something where I start and I end it. And it wasn't something I wanted to do.
Yeah. Makes sense. So during that journey, do I remember right, you're an MVP through that period as well for some time?
Right. I was an MVP. That's a special elite status that allows you access to sort of the back office of what Microsoft is doing, inner insight. And that was very helpful to gain sort of roadmap with what Microsoft is doing. And it's a title that you carry with you, I think, for the rest of your career.
Yeah. Very good. So, I'm going to get interested to understand where you are on your journey now and what's new for you. But tell me a bit about what you do when you're not working.
Right. Well, not working. Spare time
where do you live and play?
Yeah. Well, I'm just thinking like spare time is a bit of an anachronistic term, right? I mean, we don't really have spare time anymore. We're always plugged in and we're always on. I sleep with the phone next to the bed. You're checking emails or checking Reddit. But, when it comes to play, various interests, I like to run. I like to mentoring. I'm involved in various technology plays, into travel quite a bit. But, I think it's the old adage that if you don't like doing what you do for a job, you're going to have a really long life.
Yeah.
Find something you love to do, and every day, isn't work. And so that's really been my motto. And so I dive into the projects that I'm engaged in, and this new project that we're working on now is something that's really exciting.
Awesome. So before we get into that, tell me just about the company and the exit that you had. And when we talk about exit, it was a successful, take it you sold your company and therefore retired and went and lived on some island, but now you're getting back into something new. Just tell us a bit about that exit journey. Did you intend it from day one when you built that company? And what was that all about?
Yeah, well, anytime you hear about any exit, you always want to hear that there's an island that you and Richard Branson can go hang out on. But the reality is somewhere in between there, right? And so I had built Webfortis, which was based in San Francisco in California, and we provided exclusively Dynamics CRM services, mostly based on the West Coast, but we did start to build up a pretty big presence on the East Coast and had a federal practice. And we were acquired by a company in Minneapolis called Avtex, which was a really good fit for us. They had a strong focus on customer experience, and they were really looking to grow and expand their Dynamics practice. And so we fit together, and that happened about 3 years ago. I stayed on and helped with transition services and then moved on to some other interests that I had. But from an acquisition standpoint, building a company to be acquired and looking at the space and what's out there today, consolidation happens. And, it doesn't matter how big you are or how small you are. It's always sort of a conversation that every company has on their mind. Even the largest companies, they're looking at, what can I acquire? Who can I acquire? And so, from the standpoint of, the project that we're starting today, we're always looking at, look, what is our end goal? And, that can be anywhere from, look, I want to build a lifestyle company. I never want to be acquired. I'm going to have a job. I'm going to make good money. To, I'm going to build this company up where it's turnkey and, somebody could acquire us at the drop of a hat.
Yeah.
And so, the lessons learned from building Webfortis and going through the acquisition process is be prepared in that there is a lot that you can do down either one of these journeys to be in a position to have conversations or to be, financially sound or to have your position right. And it never hurts to have these conversations. And so, I find that when I talk to various businesses and I mentor smaller companies occasionally, and I'll say, what's your exit strategy? What is your valuation? What's your unique selling proposition, your USP? And sometimes these questions aren't so easily answered. And I think these are things that every company should know and be in a position to have a conversation about, know their value. And that's something that we're, on the front of our mind now when we're moving forward into this new project.
Yeah. So on that, what are your thoughts on the market at the moment? There's been quite a bit of consolidation that's happened over the last 5 years across various Dynamics businesses, getting ingested to larger companies. But, we've seen the top 4 consulting, KPMG, EY, who else? PwC, as far as I know, and then your Accentures, etc. Or Accenture's been in it for a while, but all these big crowds, even BDO, etc., they've all jumped in and set up Dynamics-based practices. What are your thoughts on consolidation in the market, and does that create white space for new players?
Yeah, so consolidation has definitely happened, and it's driven. If we look at Microsoft product suite exclusively, which, I think that's healthy. Let's just stay within the boundaries of what we're talking about. It's happened because of what Microsoft has done and the direction they've gone. So Microsoft issued an edict about 7 or 8 years ago, and they said, look, go big or go home. In many respects, they issued that explicitly, and in many respects, they issued it implicitly. And so, it's been a driver for a lot of companies as they attempted to go big. And it makes sense from a Microsoft perspective. Whether or not it makes sense from a partner perspective, I would challenge, and we can certainly talk about that. But if you look at the large companies, they've built up practices and they continue to go large, and there's complete product and suite offerings, and Microsoft gets in bed really deep with them. And so there's this questionable argument about what happens to the small guys as they get swallowed up. And so having been in the space like I've been in for the past 20 years, it's an ebb and flow. And so there was a big wash of consolidation that happened in the last 5 years. The companies got big, the products, went with them, Microsoft went with them. And what I'm seeing now is that now there's a little bit of an ebb out. And it looks like, yes, there's companies that can offer everything in the Power Platform. They can offer the entire Microsoft stack. But with that comes a huge overhead, right? You've got an overhead with regards to each project that comes in. You've got an overhead that requires, multiple project management levels. And so you've got, the SMB space, you've got the smaller guys that are standing out there going, look, I just need some help. I don't need to bring in, a PwC to help me, do an integration project or to help me do some training. And so I think there's some white space out there for these single source companies again. And, I think that Microsoft is going to have to come back, and I think they're starting to a little bit, but I think they're going to have to come back in and offer some greater levels of support to the companies that are serving in the SMB space. I mean, the SMB space can't be ignored by Microsoft. If you take a look at, what the SMB space is, means to the United States economy, 62% of all private sector jobs are in the SMB space. And in fact, SMBs make up 50% of the United States GDP, right? So you've got this offering out there where you've got small companies that need services that aren't going to pay, and they're not even going to call the big SIs. And so I think there is a real opportunity for the smaller guys to come back in and start to rebuild and go after that space.
So, with Microsoft, having a massive focus on the Power Platform and therefore the ability to build any type of app, like forget using the Dynamics suite of products, if you like, and just build custom apps that you could then sell, even at scale or in a repeatable model for the SMB space. Do you not see that they're kind of now supporting that ability to really push deeply into the SMB space and, definitely the mid-market, but even so the SMB with, a lot lower licensing cost and a lot easier platform to work with than perhaps what we had with in the past?
I completely agree. But I think we're talking about two different things, because I think what Microsoft is doing is that they are enabling the SMB space in a way that they've never done before. So if we take a look at what Microsoft is doing and what the solutions are that they are delivering to the customers, absolutely, it's phenomenal. But if you take a look at it from a partner perspective, and Microsoft has said, look, here are all these amazing tools and all of this, amazing interconnected platforms. You've still got this partner community that needs to go out and service the SMB space because, right, I can go out and build a model or canvas-driven app and I can put it together. But you know what? That's not really my job. So yeah, Microsoft is going to give me the tools, but you know what? Why don't I just have somebody come on in, give me a day of training, or you know what? I'll have them come in for half a week and they'll build it for me and then I can maintain it going forward. That still exists out there.
Yeah. So what you're saying is Microsoft's providing the tooling, just the sales and, if you like, marketing motion is still to catch up.
Right. And I think there's a real opportunity there. Like I said, I think that, and we're just scratching the surface now because everything is so new. And if you take a look at how everything is interconnected, there's such an amazing potential for all of these tools to provide, vast productivity across an enterprise. And, like you said, well, the small business has this amazing tool set, but they don't know what to do with it. They don't even understand the capabilities because most partners today are challenged with it, right? So
Exactly.
how do we come in and, express data across the CDS and then go across all of these different platforms and all of these different apps? And, from a partner perspective, that's really our job, is to come in and provide value to the customers.
Nice. So what are you up to now? What's the big, stake you've put in the ground, and what is your plans going forward based on, I take it you've done a thorough assessment of the market inside, Microsoft Business Apps and the opportunity, and you're getting back in the game. What's it all about?
Yeah, so taking a step back and then looking at what Microsoft has done, I'm really excited with the new offerings. So the Power Platform is super compelling, but what I'm finding really interesting is the Business Central platform. And so we are putting together an offering for Business Central that we think is super compelling to the space. And the reason that we think there's even an offering or that there's even this opportunity is that Microsoft has what I would classify reset the platform. They've reset the platform and they've said, look, Business Central is a new product that is, it's the old Nav product, but now it's new Business Central. It's in the cloud. And so, what does that mean? And what it means is that you've got all of these existing ERP partners that are looking to reinvent themselves. So not only do we have a product that's been reinvented, but we have partners that are reinvented. And so we've taken a look at the space and said, you know what, that's a great opportunity to come in with a new born in the cloud mentality.
Yeah.
Because you can't take existing legacy customers and turn them on a dime to move into the cloud space very easily. So we think that with our offering, we can come born in the cloud mentality and offer a lot of value to our customers. So the new company is called Cowrie Solutions. And if you're familiar with the background of what a cowrie shell is, a cowrie was the first medium of exchange in Papua New Guinea. And so it makes sense, I think, and we're looking to bring Business Central in volume to the marketplace. So we decided to really build it with 3 pillars. And the first one was really wanted to make it easier to obtain, get it up and running and use. So we have an offering which we call Business Central in an hour. And so think of it as Business Central in a box. And what it does is if you sign up, off you go, you're configured and done. You have access to the application in 1 hour. And it comes pre-configured with our IP loaded with it. And not a lot of people are doing this, and we think it's super compelling. And where does that really play? That really plays into the space that I would think a lot of partners and even Microsoft is neglecting to some sense, and that's really in the QuickBooks or the Xero space, which it doesn't have a lot of breadth with regards to, hey, look, I want a big $50,000 implementation, and there's time and places for that, but there are customers that just want to get up and running with an accounting system. I remember when I started Webfortis, we needed an accounting system, and what did I do? I went down to Best Buy and I bought QuickBooks off the shelf, and I was off and running. I didn't need to hire a partner. I didn't need to hire an implementer. I had my accountant do the customizations. And so we think there's a real offering in the volume space for customers just to grab it off the shelf and off they go. And we provide, there's a mandatory support package that we include is $5 a month. And so we'll give them some help and resources. They can raise their hand, but we'll get up and running for them very easily.
Wow.
And so that's really our biggest focus. We also offer, a tight focus just on Business Central. And so we're trying to really keep our eyes on the ball. Obviously, there's a huge amount of opportunity and space with regards to upsell on the Power Platform, but we want to kind of marginalize that. We want to really give focus and value to our Business Central customers. Now, of course, the corollary from that is, well, how do you provide value to your customers if you marginalize the Power Platform? And the way that we provide value to our customers is through partnering. And so that's our last pillar, in that we really want to focus on Business Central. And if a customer really wants the additional value and they really want to go out and do a complex integration or they want to do a complex customization, we really look to our partner network for that. And so we have a two-way partnering opportunity in that a lot of partners in the space don't want what we want. And we really want the customers that are going to come in, really play into the volume space, really, get up and running quickly, use some, marginal IP, pre-configured systems. But we also don't want these huge, complex, multi-month integration projects. And so we have partners that would do that. And I think that, it's a good symbiotic relationship that we've developed in the space.
Interesting. Well, you've covered a lot there. So let me just unpack some of this in my mind. The questions that came to me is, when you say partnering with partners, are you talking about other Business Central partners because that you're going to, if you like, farm out that work to? How does that model work?
Yeah, we have a complete partnering program. And so it's not even necessarily farm out, but we don't really look at us as having competitors in this space. There's not really anybody that does what we do. And that really works well for us because we're able to develop a mature marketing or a mature market ecosystem so that when we come into projects that we disqualify, we're able to feed our partners. And we expect them to do the same. And that's worked out really well.
Okay, so it's a symbiotic relationship, works two ways in a way, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Excellent. So you're saying you're going to be 100% born in the cloud. Does that mean, ERP used to be like a 7 to 10 year cycle? A company would never upgrade unless there's pretty much a gun to their head, their ERP systems. Is this going to be the last big upgrade for businesses? Like once they go to the cloud and then Microsoft handles the increment, if you like, to keep them on one platform always, do we see this as really the days of swapping software out that does a core bit of business functionality is going to go away?
Yeah, I think so. I think, if we take a look at what a modern company needs to have and survive, and I don't think, we can even, it's laughable to think that we're going to have these, 5 or 10 year software cycles of reinvention. I mean, if we were to boil it all down, it's apps, 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 right? Everything is an app. And so, the Microsoft move to the cloud, let's just use that as the telling evidence, right? Why did they invest all of the money and time and effort to build ERP in the cloud? And Business Central is obviously just one of their products. They have F&O in the cloud. CRM has been in the cloud for years. We were an early partner with that. And so I think businesses are certainly moving from a CapEx model when it comes to software to an OpEx model. And the opportunity for partners to come in and provide value over the long term and the opportunity for customers to realize that value will be an iterative cycle and process. And so, I don't expect any customer out there using any piece of Microsoft software to be able to know what it can do potentially. Like they might read about something, but that's not their job. Their job is to go out and run their business successfully. So as a partner, you have this incredible opportunity, and I don't care what you've sold into them. It could be one seat of Office 365, right? And they're using Outlook. And you simply go down and say, look, do you realize that Outlook can do X and Y, or Excel can do X and Y? And so, we're looking at Business Central as having this incredible opportunity. And yes, we're looking at it in the volume play right now, but we think over the long term, there's an incredible upsell opportunity as the customers and the space that we've targeted grow with the software. There's going to be a lot of hands that are going to be raised, and they're going to say, you know what, we love this software. What else can it do for us? And that's where we really start to get into some interesting conversations.
Yeah. So is there any specific segment that you are going to start off in? And when I say segment, are you going to target specific industries that you've got success in already, or are you really offering more a horizontal offering?
It's a horizontal offering in that it's a volume play, but we have pre-configured templates. And so we've gone after about a half a dozen particular verticals: healthcare, retail, financial services, to name a few. But the idea is that, how can we quickly enable customers? Because going after a deep vertical play is really a difficult value proposition for a smaller partner. And, we're a startup. We started up again. We have a complete team already. I've got several partners on the organization with, a financial background, an ERP background. Obviously, I've got an ERP and a CRM background myself. But to be really deep in any one of these verticals, say manufacturing, I mean, you have to bring in a gray hair, 20 years experience, build out a team, build out demos. And, that's not really the space we want. But, let's look at that. Let's unpack that, right? So you've got somebody that comes to us. They know what their business does. They know what they need the ERP to do. They are willing to take a light version of the ERP because, they just need to get something up and running. Long-term plans or customization, are they willing to work with, the partner? Are they willing to grow into the software? Can the software do that? Absolutely. And we're willing to sit down and show them what the potential is. But our goal really is to get them up and running quickly and easily, hopefully using, a Pareto rule, 80% of the software will be delivered. And so, I think that's going to be the best play.
Yeah. Okay. So you've used some interesting words with ERP then, like, people wanting a lightweight version, something to get up and running. And in my mind, I'm like, are these businesses that already exist, or are these more startup type businesses that need to put an ERP system, or they've, let's say, outgrown just a simple, profit and loss accounting system or a simple accounting system and need to level up? Or are you going after well-established, embedded clientele that are maybe on another technology and need to migrate.
Yeah, no, we're definitely not going after well-established companies, although they're certainly welcome to come in. But companies that are looking to transition, new companies that are looking to start up, lightweight companies are really our target marketplace. And to be clear, I mean, I think the term ERP is slightly overused. I think that if we were to boil down, what Business Central is, if we were to say, look, on a very easy compete, a lightweight version of Business Central could effectively compete with Business Central or Xero. Now, if you were to really put in all the bells and whistles, does it become a full-featured ERP? You add in CRM, you add in integration. Can you actually do everything in, an enterprise resource planning that a system could do? Absolutely. Now, is that what we're going to do? No, we're not going to do that, but we have a complete partner network, and we're obviously always looking for partners that are interested in having these very sophisticated, full-blown implementations that we're not interested in doing. Love to talk to them, have them come into our network, and then we'd like to take this sort of, the ones that are too small for them.
Yeah. Okay, so that makes sense. So what made you get back in the game? Like, I would have thought you didn't need to. What's kind of been the big motivator for you to do this now?
The big motivator was really what Microsoft has done largely since Satya came in and, kind of given Microsoft a renewed energy. And that's kind of cliche because if we take a look at, Microsoft as a whole, yes, they've reinvented their stock value's gone up, 70%, but the Dynamics product suite was always sort of a stepchild for Microsoft, certainly under Ballmer's reign. And, but we take a look at it today, it's really evolved. It's become a core product offering, and it's got amazing potential with what it can do. The Power Platform that underlines everything now stretches into all of the products. I mean, we've got a deep, tight integration into Outlook, into Office. You go across to CRM, the Power Platform, Power BI. It's an amazing productivity pack. And so we always sold Dynamics back in the day under sort of the promise that it could do amazing things. And it could do amazing things, but the conditions need to be just right? You needed to have the right version of Outlook. You needed to have, various updates and stuff done. And now with what they've done, they've really kind of reset the playing field. And, the born in the cloud, bringing the accounting system, Business Central and F&O into the cloud offering is really a sexy offering that I think businesses are going to get behind. I think partners are going to get behind. And it's going to be really powerful moving forward.
Yeah. So tell me out two key things that I see partners don't, in my observation, have, and when I say partners, we're talking specific in the Dynamics space, haven't done well. And that is, I haven't seen done well the ability to set good channels, and let's call them marketing channels in place where they can put $1 in one end and get $10 out of the other. What are your thoughts on marketing and getting that part of a business right when you're a practice?
Well, marketing is always kind of a black hole for me. I'm not a marketing specialist, and it's one of those things where I don't know how to do it well, but I can certainly do it bad. And so, and I've worked with marketing teams, for many years, and there's been promises and there's been hopes and there's dreams. And so, you give me $1 and you tell me where to spend it. I don't know what the right answer is, but I can tell you that in today's day and age, a small startup, even a mid-size or large size, gone are the days of Google AdWords or Bing AdWords or AdWords. I mean, it's such a loud and, there's noise coming from everywhere on what there is. And so, that's why we really like the idea of what Microsoft is doing and moving in tune with Microsoft. And so if Microsoft is able to set the message, and I do think they have a little bit of challenge in the SMB space, as I'm mentioning, which is something that we're hoping to capitalize on. But Microsoft, for years, the potential customers didn't even know that Microsoft had a CRM. And today, a lot of customers don't even realize that there's an accounting offering from Microsoft, right?
Yeah,
and so, I go to all these conferences and you hear all these partners and they would disagree with me. Oh, we've got a thriving business. And I go, if you take a look at the potential market opportunity for CRM and for accounting ERP systems, we've just scratched the surface. There's such an amazing, massive potential. And Microsoft could never really figure out how to get that message down. And I think with what they're doing now with the Dynamics offering and Business Central F&O and the CRM piece, I think that we're going to see an incredible resurgence, or people are going to be raising their hands saying, what is this Microsoft product? I've seen it, I've been using Outlook, and now what is there, this type of integration I can get? And it all works like it didn't do before. I'm really excited about moving forward.
So what about then geography focus? Are you really targeting a specific geography, or with the cloud these days, really you can sell anywhere in the world? Do you have a geography focus?
Well, we do have a geography focus. We actually started the company in the UK, and so that was our first geography. But we've expanded into United States. So one of my core business partners is English, and I'm obviously American, and so we decided to split the geographies and offer. We have a contiguous support model that we can offer. We're only focusing on English-speaking countries at this point in time. Obviously, maybe Australia or New Zealand might be on the list at some future date, but we think that we have a compelling offering with these two geos.
Interesting. And how long have you been running, and what type of traction are you getting so far?
We've been running since March of 2019, and we're getting great traction. We're having, really incredible opportunities for people that are coming in that really fit our niche. Now, it goes beyond that in not just customers that are looking to come on and get started. We have a complete IP package that they can obviously buy the BC in a box and off they go, and we don't even need to see them. They don't need to see us. They just want to buy it and off they go. But we do offer larger packages that are integration and upgrade and, training packages that we will sell. We have a configuration suite on our website that allows customers to come in. They can go through a complete configuration option that they can price out their system. They put everything in there and it comes out with their price, no questions, no mystery about it. And then we also offer pre-configured systems, so they can come out and they can simply take the system that meets about 80% of the requirements right out of the box. But where we've really gotten the most amount of success is again through this partnering opportunity, because the existing partners out there are, shall I use the word, challenged with the transition to the cloud. And, no partner wants to say no. No partner wants to spend time on a customer and disqualify them and not be able to give them an answer. And so we've got great traction with partners that say, look, this lead just doesn't, hit our wheelhouse. It's something that's great for Cowrie. Here you go. And then we get opportunities all the time. And we say, look, we understand that you've got, a very complex manufacturing or retail process. You're going to need much more time and effort than, what we've scoped out. So we'd like to refer that back. And so our partner network is really thriving from that standpoint.
Interesting. I like, you've definitely pointed out a key thing that partners struggle with, which is this ability to say no. And I think in what you're doing with, born in the cloud, very targeted in what you're doing, and, the IP package, the configuration migration, the pre-config offerings, I think you allow yourself easily to say no to potential opportunities that just are not aligned with you, which I think, will definitely set up for success.
I think that my focus has always tried to be on a focus and to do one thing and to do it well. And, I think that, partners today are, they go to the Worldwide Partner Conference, Inspire, they go to, any of the Microsoft conference, and Microsoft is constantly pushing down the message of, look, you have to do everything and you have to do it all amazingly. And if you don't, you're going to be marginalized. And I don't think it's really possible for your probably 95% of partners out there to be able to do everything. And you have to question yourself as a partner and your identity to be able to go to Microsoft and to tell Microsoft no, let alone to tell customers no. But that is really, how thin can you spread yourself? How verifiable are you? You walk out to a customer and they have a Power BI requirement. Oh, we're the Power BI experts because you have to be the Power BI. But in reality, they have such a complex requirement that, you're probably going to bring in a consultant or you're probably going to bring in an expert. And I'm telling you, I've been in this business long enough that I've seen even the largest SIs do this, right? So they have got a complete stack offering. They'll go out and they'll tell the customer that we can do it all, and then I'll get a call on the back end, and they'll be like, hey Mark,
100%.
we've got this very sophisticated project. We sold it. Can you help us with it? And so, being able to say no and being able to do something really right will, I think, propel you and be the cause of your ultimate success.
Yeah, so true. So what are your kind of growth aspirations over the coming years?
Well, yeah. So we think that there's an amazing opportunity. We think that Business Central, it's been around for we'll say months. There's been beta partners that have been on it for a few years, but we think that there's going to be an amazing push into the space. So we've actually set some fairly aggressive targets with regards to customer acquisition, and this is just our internal acquisition numbers. Well into the three-digit figures. But at the same time, we've set internal goals with regards to partnering pushes because we think that we're going to get a lot of opportunity, and it's really our goal to enable these partners that we're working with to have these more sophisticated and complex projects. So we have a fairly aggressive growth strategy. Part of that also is given the space that we're at, and because the product is new, because the offering of what we're doing we think is so unique and compelling, we really want to capitalize on it. I'm a big believer in a strategy called Blue Ocean Strategy, which is to go into a space where there aren't a lot of competitors, and quite honestly, we think we're doing something extremely unique that nobody else is doing right now, and quite frankly won't be able to do for about 18 months or 24 months. So we really want to capitalize on it. And so, from a growth standpoint, fairly aggressive. We're going to, plan to be offering continuous packages, continuous value. At the end of about 18 to 24 months, we think that there'll be enough competitors that'll enter the space. We think that we will be of a large enough size that we will be able to go in and start upselling our opportunities. And we don't want to do this with any jeopardy to any existing customers, or any existing partners that we have. But when I say upsell, our focus right now is on customer enablement on Business Central. And so that's going to actually, to your point about say no, we will have to say no to ourselves when a customer comes to us and said, look, I love this Business Central you've implemented, the templates, the IP, everything works. Now, can you help us come in and do a BI project or an AI project or a CRM project? And our answer today is no. We're not going to do that. We're going to tell them what the capabilities are. We're going to work with the referred partner. We're going to put them in place. But we think in the future we might be able to start going after that opportunity, and who knows what beyond that looks like.
Yeah, very interesting. I want to talk about a term called MR that's starting to appear around the industry, and it refers to Microsoft relationship. What are you doing about your Microsoft relationship as a partner, and kind of what are you investing into that? For years, I've heard partners bemoan not getting enough leads, etc., from the mothership. What do you see the Microsoft partner relationship model like going forward? Not necessarily even tell us what your thoughts about where it's come from, but do you see it changing? How is that model, if you like, maturing?
Yeah, having been in the space as long as I've been in, the Microsoft relationship is an evolving relationship, and it comes and it goes. To use my previous term, it ebbs and it flows. And so, today, certainly in the last 3 to 4 years, Microsoft has moved into the larger partners. They get a lot of attention, and they've given them a lot of love. And I don't want to use the term neglected, but the smaller partners are getting. Let's agree that they're getting less attention from Microsoft. And so, there's a lot of challenges with regards, because Microsoft may still continue to overpromise what they can do from a partnering perspective. And so, having been in this space, it's really important that you understand how Microsoft partners and what drives Microsoft. And so, our Microsoft relationship is one that we don't necessarily go to Microsoft and say, what can you do for us? We would love to be able to have that conversation, but we like to go to Microsoft and say, what can we do for you? And having that conversation really turns it, 180, because we believe that we're offering something that Microsoft needs to offer and yet is not offering. So we're able to go to Microsoft and say, look, we have a value offer that we can give, which is a turnkey solution to customers that are raising their hands. And these customers, they're the biggest pain in the ass, right? Because they have all these questions, but they're not going to spend any money. And yet we want to take them. And so, going to Microsoft, instead of with your hand out, with your hand full of goodies, it's greeted quite differently than a typical partnering conversation.
Totally. What are your thoughts then on the place of a global GSI then in the mix, where Microsoft once again has encouraged these global SIs around the world? Do you see them as competitors to what you're doing, or do you believe your business model is so different and modern, if you like, that there's no risk there?
Totally don't see them as a risk. Absolutely not. Global SIs will always exist, and there's always a need for them. So, I think they're necessary. They provide, an important value. To me, the biggest value that they provide is enterprise credibility, right? I mean, if you've got, three-quarters of the Fortune 500 companies running on Microsoft software, you've got, a very big opportunity to go to the smaller companies and say, hey, look, me too. And so, I think there'll always be a need for them. Do we compete with them? Absolutely not. Do we get calls from them to help them? Absolutely. So I'm glad they're there.
Okay, next one, MCS.
Right. So MCS it's really an interesting, and MCS for, people that don't know is Microsoft Consulting Services.
Correct, yeah.
They are, again, I think they're a necessary, I don't want to say necessary evil. I've got some great friends on MCS, but no, they're necessary within the ecosystem. And, Microsoft, for years, and I've been in the space probably far too long, has always said we deliver our products, with partners. And I can remember the days of not quite pre-MCS, but certainly, where MCS it didn't exist in the shape and form that exists today. But there's just always going to be a customer out there that's going to be a banner customer, a brand customer that's going to say, look, I only want to eat from the maker's hand. And, if you can't do that, you won't win the business. So they're definitely necessary. I think that, they've gotten really good. And just in the last few years, there's been a lot more demarcation about what they do and what partners do. And I think a lot of partners get frustrated, but it's the rules of the game. And so, you can bemoan, the fact that the sky is blue, but the sky is blue every day.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting though, because to a degree, I agree with what you're saying, but there's an element that there's been too much a servant-master mentality between MCS and partners in the past. And we've seen, and I'm talking about, 3-4 years ago, and Microsoft has gone through this massive transformation on the product, the product side of their business. But yeah, I'm just interested to understand, is the consulting part of their business also going to go through this transformation and really see partners as allies, not, augmented headcount and at a rate that they specify and love it or leave it type thing?
Right. Well, they continue to, compete on not just service offerings, but on price. But, Microsoft has the mentality, we will only sell through partners. And in fact, that's why, quite honestly, we could have the conversation and we can, have it at length. But the reality is that you can't buy Business Central unless you buy it through a partner.
Yeah.
So, right there, they're setting the ground rules. And I think that, is MCS going to go away? No, they're not going to go away. So, figuring out how to work with them is the best situation.
Yeah, agreed. So we've seen a massive transition from Microsoft over the last 5 years with Satya, coming into play. We've seen, Microsoft Biz Apps absolutely explode under James Phillips' leadership and Alyssa Taylor. Hayden Stafford as well, actually, in the mix of the three. What are your thoughts around Microsoft's direction in the next 5 years? And then how do you see that impacting Microsoft business applications?
Well, I wish I could predict Microsoft direction in the next 5 years, because then I'd know whether or not to buy more stock. But I'm really impressed with the direction so far. Like anything, and being steeped very deep in Microsoft, I think there's an amazing potential. But I've gotten burned with what Microsoft has done, as many partners have. If you look at investments and some of the investments that they've made, and then the investments that we've made as a partner, they have an incredible opportunity to screw things up. And they've proven that time and time again. And as a partner, you don't have the visibility. You don't know what the direction is. They have new people that come in and new direction gets set. But I'm really confident and really confident for the first time in several years about what I see the direction is today. I think that, to your point, the enablement of the end customer is unique in a way that it's never been before. I think we'll continue to move into the app space. I think that if Microsoft can solve, to me, what their biggest challenge is, and again, I'm only speaking myopically in the Dynamics world, and that's, and we need an app store, and we need an app store that works. And I think, they made some changes in this about 5 weeks ago, and now there's a partner commission in it, and that gets paid to Microsoft. And they've really, really stumbled over that. And I think if we can figure out how to get that done and get it done right, and it's something that obviously, look, their competitor Salesforce and their other competitors do amazingly well. If we can do that, I think, at that point, it's game over, because, we'll be able to release verifiable working apps that, we'll get promotion through the Microsoft network. You'll have an opportunity for partners to thrive. And again, here we go back to your point about spending $1, right? If we had a working marketplace that customers could go and find apps for, I'd spend the $1 there because I'm raising awareness, right? So I think, I'm pretty excited about the direction.
I like it. Alrighty, to wrap up, I just got a couple of quick fire questions to shoot past you. I think we've covered very well the topics here, and I love your insight for being, in the system, or in the ecosystem for so long. So thank you for that. What's one thing on your bucket list that you haven't done yet?
One thing on my bucket list? Well, I've probably got a couple things, or probably a huge bucket list. I'd probably like to have, one or two more exits. I'd like to shave my head, and I'd like to go into outer space if I could.
Wow, awesome. Why shave your head?
Well, I've always wanted to shave my head. I had a buddy that shaved his head when I was younger, and he said going to sleep at night in a cool pillow and it wraps around your head, there's nothing like it. And I've always had way too much hair, and my wife prohibits it, and I haven't shown any signs of going bald. So it's just been this bucket list thing. I want to shave my head one day.
Yeah, do it. And when you do it, record it and then challenge 3 other people to do it and start a new craze. I love it. What's been a key highlight in your career?
I think building and growing, a company has been probably the biggest highlight of my career. I think, it's amazing to do that. I'm super excited about the opportunity that we're going after today, and we think we have amazing potential. And, and to shout out on that, we are looking for, talented individuals in the space. If you're looking to you want to get your hands dirty with Business Central, you want to work with, a founder that's, built a company before, be part of that, definitely send us over your resume.
Sounds good. Who do you recommend as a guest for this podcast in future?
I think if you were to take a look at, podcasts, what do I enjoy listening to? There's really 3 types of people. There's doers, makers, and visionaries, right? And the doers are the integrators, the people out in the field, the ones that get their hands dirty. There's the makers, kind of like me, the ones that build companies, make businesses. And then there's the visionaries, right? That's the Microsoft direction and where they're going. So anywhere within there, it's always, super interesting to find leaders in the space. I personally am a big fan of the doers. And if I had to recommend anybody, I love integration stories of when they went really bad and when they went really good. And so I'd recommend finding, anybody that's gotten their hands really dirty with a project that just went completely south and, could talk about it without naming the customer. I find those super compelling.
I like it. Marc, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. Before you go, how can people connect with you?
Yeah, the best way is to head out to our website, Cowry Solutions, COWRY.com, and go ahead and check out our configurator, check out our BC in a box. We've got a contact page. Like I said, if you're interested, we're growing. We'd love to talk to you.
Hey, thanks again for joining me today on the Dynamics 365 show. I'm your host, Business Applications MVP Mark Smith, otherwise known as NZ365 Guy. Don't miss out anything on the show, the new releases, etc. by subscribing at nz365guy.com for my latest news and updates. It'll pop up on the main page when you get there. As always, I'm open to feedback. Let me know if you want to see a particular guest on the show, if you want me to take a particular focus. I'm always open to these discussions. Until next time, have a great week.